Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and while you're at it, click the bell to be notified of future videos. This block is called Another Star, 12-inch finished. Here's the diagram. It's a 2 fabric blocks. We have a background and then an accent fabric. Here are 4 blocks set block to block. I'm doing the patches a little bit different now because I've had a lot of people that it's confusing to them, especially with new quilters. So I thought I would try this way, and this is more like you see on pattern instructions. So just tell me if you like it, if you don't like it, what you like. This is the accent fabric here. These are the cuts you'll make for the accent fabric and the cuts you'll make for the background fabric. Patch A will cut 4 at 2.5-inch squares, and we're going to use these for stitch and flip. And if you look at the diagram, here is patch A. Patch D, which is here, the sky part of the flying geese, we'll cut 4 at 3 7/8-inch squares for the flying geese, 4 at a time. Or if you're cutting patches, you're going to cut in half once diagonally for 8 patches. So you'll have 2 patches here, 2 here, here, and here. For patches E and F, we cut 1 strip at 1.5 inches times 23 inches for strip piecing. So here is E and F, these squares and rectangles here. And patch G, we cut 1 at 2.5-inch square, and that's the square right in the middle. Now for the background fabric, we'll cut patch B, which is this large area here in the corners. We'll cut 4 at 3.5-inch squares, and we're going to use those for the stitch and flip. Patch C, which is the geese part of the flying geese, we'll cut 1 at 7.25-inch square for the flying geese, 4 at a time. Or if you're cutting patches, you'll cut that square in half twice diagonally. I'll need to change that. You cut it in half twice diagonally for 4 patches. Patches E and F, we cut 1 at 1.5 inches times 23 inches for strip piecing. Then I've listed the AccuQuilt dies here. Patch A is a 2-inch finished square, B is a 3-inch finished square, C is a 1/4 square triangle, 6-inch finished, and D is a 1/2 square triangle, 3-inch finished. And these are all the dies that will cut these shapes. And I had this nice purple colored fabric. These are the A patches of the accent. These will be used for the stitch and flip in the corners. And we'll also use this B patch for the stitch and flip. So we'll put these 2 together. This is the G patch, which is the center of the block. This is patch D, which is the sky part of the flying geese. We'll use this with the background patch C. We'll use these to make the flying geese 4 at a time. And here are the strip pieces we'll cut from each fabric. This is the 1.5 inch times 23 inches. For step 1, we're going to sew the strips together, and then we're going to cut segments and make 4 patch units and 2 patch units. Take our 2 strips, 1.5 inches by 23 inches, put them right sides together, and stitch along the long side. Press the seams open. Here's the strip sewn and pressed seams open. The first cuts I'm going to make are for patch E. I'm going to subcut 8 pieces at 1.5 inches. So here are patch E segments. We have 8 at 1.5 inches. And we'll take these and stitch our 4 patches like that. We're going to make 4 of these 4 patches. Stitch the seam and press the seam open. For patch F, we're going to cut 4 pieces at 2.5 inches. Here are our 4 pieces, and we leave these like this. So now I'll stitch these 4 together. For step 2, we're going to look at this diagram and piece the inside of the star. To do that, you have your G patch, which is the center square, and your E 4 patches and your F 2 patches. we'll just follow the diagram and put them together like that. So the G goes in the middle, then the F patches go around it, and then the E patches go on the corners. And here you have a 9-patch unit because it's 3 across and 3 down. You stitch your top row together, your middle row, and your bottom row. Press the seams open and then stitch the rows together. Step 3, we're going to use the C patches and the D patches and make flying geese using the 4 at a time method of making flying geese. Here's the C patch and here are the D patches. If you're not familiar with this method, stay tuned for a short tutorial that shows you how. For flying geese 4 at a time, you need 1 large square and 4 small squares. The large square is the geese part of the flying geese, and the small squares are the sky part of the flying geese. On the back of each of the small squares, draw a diagonal line. Place 2 of the small squares like this on the large square, right sides together. You line up these edges and make sure these lines line up. Then you're going to stitch 1/4 of an inch on both sides of that drawn line. Here are the 2 stitching lines on either side of the marked line, and now we cut it in half on the marked line. Now you'll open these up and press your seams open on both sides. Cut off the nubs. Now you'll place another square in this corner. Here's your diagonal line, and stitch on either side of the diagonal line. Do that for both of these. When you're stitching, your stitches should come out or start right at this point, this intersection here, this 90-degree angle. Cut this in half on the diagonal line, and you have these 2. Press your seams open and cut off your nubs. And do the same for this one. 4 flying geese. We'll start by using the stitch and flip. We have our patch A and B. If you're not familiar with stitch and flip or folded corner clipper, stay tuned for a short tutorial that shows you how. On the back of the accent fabrics, you're going to draw a diagonal line. Place this right sides together on the background, but if you can see, I've got my stitching just to the right side of that line. In this area here, the outside corner, we're going to cut off. You can use scissors or you can use your rotary cutter, and you're going to cut off this little right corner. And then you're going to flip it up like this and press it just like this. Because you stitched just to the right side of that line, you have a nice even edge on these 2 sides, and that's what you want. Our next unit is the snowball, and we place our square in the corner, and we line up our 3 points on the ruler, the top, the side, and then this side here, and cut. Now all the units are done, and it's time for them to take their place in the grid. If we look at this block, we can see it divides into 4 units across and 4 units down. The corner unit is 1 space in the grid. The flying geese is 2 spaces in the grid, and here the other corner unit is 1 space. And it's the same thing down here. But if you look in the middle, we have this big unit, the center of the star. But if we divide that into 2, this way and this way, we have 4 grids in this one. So this is a 12-inch finished block. That means that each grid space should have a finished size of 3 inches. So 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 is 12. That means that this center unit that takes up 4 grid spaces is going to be 6 inches across and 6 inches down, because it's 3 inches plus 3 inches. Here is our 2 by 2 grid. This is 6-inch finished. Now we'll take our corner units, place them like this, and the flying geese units are like this. Now you can see the grid a little bit better. Here's 1 space, 2, 3, 4. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way down. But since these are bigger, these take up 2 spaces, we'll piece these first. So you piece this flying geese to this unit in the center. Press your seams open. Stitch these corner units to the flying geese here, and press your seams open. Then you'll piece all 3 rows together. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and while you're at it, click the bell to be notified of future videos.